Hello there everyone, my name's Kagami, we're playing Katawa Shoujo, and we just met Lily and she said, is that Hiseo? And okay, that's exactly where we are. Yep, looks like you're pretty busy. Her face all but confirms that she drops her waitress facade. Somewhere along the line, our order got mixed up. We're trying to fix it now, but it looks like we only have half of what we need. Wouldn't serving smaller portions cover over the problem? It seems like that's what we'll have to do, though I wish we didn't. The fact that a good half of our class isn't going to help either. I glance behind her to see how many people are actually operating the stall. It couldn't be over about 8. I take it that's why your teacher left? That's right, she's going to try and round up a few more of our classmates to help. Hearing the sound of footsteps behind me, I stealthily glance backwards to see an elderly couple taking a place in line. I guess I'd better stop loitering around and chatting. Here's the money for the soup. Soup? Oh, right, coming right up. Lily turns and calls for a bowl of miso soup as I hand over the money for it. Taking the coins in her palm, I can't help but notice how efficiently she counts them out with her long, pale fingers. Eventually satisfied that I've handed over correct change, she puts it in a small metal tray. It isn't long before the soup is made and carefully handed to her, after which she turns and subsequently passes it to me. Thanks. I'll come back to drop off the bowl. Thank you, Hiseo. Oh, there's one other thing. Have you seen Hanako? Hanako? No, not today. Why? She gives a small sigh of abject disappointment. It's okay, I was wondering what she was doing for the festival. You'll come back when you're done, then? Sure, I'll keep an eye out for Hanako, too. Thanks, Hiseo. Thank you, Hiseo. I walk off from the stalls to find a seat, carefully cradling the steaming wooden bowl in both hands. Compared to the dumplings from before, this is quite nice. A little cool compared to what it probably should be, perhaps, but the flavor is enough to cover that reasonably well. As I drink, I can't help but feel somewhat guilty for not being as involved in the festival as others. It can't really be helped, considering I was dropped into school only a week ago, but it still weighs on my mind heavily. Weighs heavily on my mind. That and the fact that a few students don't really seem to enjoy the festival as much as the visitors. Eventually, I finish my bowl and leave for the stall to drop it off. Considering that there seems to be no line at all, I take my time walking up. It seems the teacher's mission paid off. There are now over a dozen students helping, and much of the unpacking has been done. Despite most of them seeming quite relaxed as they work, Lily still appears to be somewhat stressed. Lily doesn't look impressed at all, and I can't really blame her. On top of her issues with her stall, she still seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help her with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off her shy mutual friend. Placing the bowl back in the counter, I call out to Lily. Hey Lily, don't worry about Hanako. I'll go find her and hang out with her, okay? I can see Lily's relief plainly written across her face. Thanks, Hiseo, and if you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please? Will do. Have a good one, and make sure you take a break, okay? I will, if I can. See you later, Hiseo. I leave Lily to the stall and head out to search for Hanako. In a way, I feel bad for leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she is enjoying herself. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grain of the crowd. Thankfully, the crowd seems to be slightly less festive than our usual festival crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. With that face! This is not surprising, since I am standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. As I enter the library, the noise of festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I am reading in the reading area, the rear of the room. Behind one of the partitioned desks, I see the top of a head with straight dark hair catching my eye. Hey, Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeping over the partition. Hiseo? Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh, do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? I brought some food, so I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by it on the way here, no one was around. We can make some food there, and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure, let's go. Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate, practiced movements. Good to go? Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there's barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the halls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know, it looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises over her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she's going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when... It's a game. Game? Do you see the floor here? What a bizarre question. The floor looks like any other floor covered in those tiles made up from square and linoleum. Linoleum? Yeah. Nothing noteworthy? Well, yes. What about it? Sometimes, when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues, until I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hall. Darker ones? Shuffling her feet, Hanako points the toe of her shoe on a tile that is barely a shade darker than the others. Like these ones. Oh, right. So these ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. That's adorable. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty. She nods. Well then, no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I notice that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that. But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tile. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the open window makes it worth it. Without thinking, I walk to the windowsill and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clean the air is here compared to back home. Would you like some tea? That would be great, thanks. It occurs to me that this is the first time I've been alone with Hanako without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the windows, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before, a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's calm. Eventually, she places the small tray on a table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why I like this room now. I don't know what you mean. Well, there are quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles. You're right. It's like the world has forgotten this room, and because of that, you can forget about the outside. That'd be appealing in some cases. As far as I can tell, conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school, but then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lily. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you can forget its existence would hold special appeal. That's a good point. It's like this room gives some kind of complete freedom. Yeah. Say, do you play chess? Chess? I've played a bit of chess, I guess. Yes, I have. I'm a master chessamateur? I take it you've played before? A little. Without saying anything more, Hanako moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set. Do you want? Sure, why not? I cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind it. We arrange the pieces, and before long we are sending pawns charging in their inevitable fates. I take my time to initially examine each move and its consequences, nostalgia for the game taking second place to the matter at hand. For the time, the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear a line in her defense. A few moments later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Checkmate. You're not bad at this, are you? An honest appraisal, her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its age. I guess not. Does Lily play? The absence of Hanako's answer causes me to think my question. A bit. This is the first time I've played against someone other than her. Or... She cuts herself off abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Yamaku, maybe? Well, then I'm honored to have played against you. Can we play again? So freaking cute. She asks as if she were asking me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competition's gotten into her. Sure, though don't expect me to go easy on you this time. Not that I was before, mind. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone. Same here. As we are setting up the pieces, there's a noise at the door. Good afternoon. Lily. Oh, hey there. Lily, are you finished? You both are here? Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round up some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left? Pretty much. We've just been playing a bit of chess. Would you like a cup of tea? Actually, I think it might be a good idea to go outside for a little while. The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to the plan, even though she says nothing. I feel strangely compelled to voice what is plainly in view on her face, but Lily can't see. I kind of think that we should just stay here. Really? It's so crowded here that I was thinking we should leave the school and head for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course, with everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty. Tea house? Oh, that's right. You probably don't know it. There's a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often. Sounds like a plan. Hanako, what do you think? Hanako jumps a little at being forced into the conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before. If it's the Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well then, it's settled. Let's be on our way. Hanako and I rise from the table and our preempted chess game. Before I can do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Looks like we're ready now. Please lead on. Hanako moves to Lily's side and we venture onto the school's corridor. The pair leads me through a series of unfamiliar doors and we emerge on the side of the building opposite of the festival grounds. Insulated by the heavy stone of the building, the noise from the crowd has faded into a murmur. Strange, I thought that most people would be beginning to leave by now. They're probably here to view the fireworks. Fireworks? Yes, apparently the school puts on quite a show. A lot of people come from town just to watch them. Lily's decision to leave the school grounds seems to make sense now. Hanako would probably have a hard time with the whole town descending onto the school, or ascending, as the case may be. For the second time since arriving at Yamaku, I find myself walking down this road with Lily. Only now I can barely hear the incessant noises of the festival. Do I realize how loud it was? I can hear my ears ringing slightly in the still evening air as they recover from the day's assault on them. Hanako clings to Lily, but still manages to guide her along the road. That, and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians, appears to completely sap her constitution. She rarely raises her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lily, on the other hand, maintains her prim. Gotta stop being sleepy when I play this game. It's like reading a book before bed. Her prim and proper persona, just as she does in school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance rather than hiding it like Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in their way of holding themselves outside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates the specialness of it. But once we venture outside the school gates, we are returned to the status of outsider and generic labels. especially when they're still in school uniforms. It's like hanging a sign around your neck challenging people to figure out what's wrong with you. It's surprised that so many of the students keep it on. Then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students, I guess it's not really much of a giveaway. Or maybe I'm the only one who sees it as a stigma. Maybe you just get used to it after a time, like any other school uniform. A tea house seems fairly standard from the outside, just an ordinary building with typical signs decorating the entrance. It looks like the type of place where you'd walk by without a thought, just another generic cafe in a sea of thousands. If Hanako hadn't steered Lily into the entrance, I would have continued on down the road without even knowing that it existed. Inside the tea house, it takes on a more traditional feel. Everything seems to have been made from the same lump of timber, from the counter to benches to high-backed booths around the walls. But the most striking feature in the room is the lack of life. I think I can faintly hear something bubbling away in the background, but otherwise the room is silent. Without any direction, we simply wait near the entrance, politely obeying the "please wait to be seated" sign. Is this place closed or something? Holy crap! The sound of a chair falling over echoes throughout the empty room, and a head shoots up from inside the booth. I wasn't a sleeper, and welcome to Shanghai. Yuko, dressed in pastel apron and clutching a menu, rushes to greet us. Her misaligned glasses and ruffled hair cast suspicion in her previous statement. And with mystery involved, it's not very mysterious, but we will end the episode here. As always, please like, favorite, subscribe, enjoy the episode, and have a fantastic evening. This is Kagami, clicking the button that ends my recording.